For those of you just joining, we are seeing an influx, so we're going to get started in just a minute. Thank you for joining us and for your patience. Great. We are going to go ahead and get started. Please note that this evening's event is being recorded. If you have any questions throughout the evening, please feel free to submit them in the Q&A feature of Zoom. You can submit them in chat, although if you submit them in the Q&A feature, we'll be able to better keep track of the questions. We did have some questions that were pre-submitted, so thank you to those that pre-submitted. And I'd like to thank all of our guests this evening and our panelists. My name is Pamela Gardner. I'm the director for the Delaware Health Sciences Alliance, this evening's host, along with some of our key partners in the medical education and medical profession space, including the University of Delaware is with us tonight. We have students from PCOM and SKMC joining us, and we have our partners at BB Healthcare with us as well. So thank you to all. We are just a little bit about DHSA. We are a standalone nonprofit. We are focused on innovative collaborations and have our pillars of priorities include medical education, research, health policy and administration, as well as health economics as well. So we're super excited to be here this evening to help our future medical professionals reach their goals. What we can expect this evening, as I mentioned earlier, we have a panel of experts who are joining us. Please feel free again to submit questions in the Q&A feature. We'll have opportunities throughout the evening to also offer you to come off mute and on camera should you desire to do so. You can also use the raise hand feature as well, and we'll try and make sure that we get to all of the questions. We'll cover a variety of topics this evening, including but not limited to DIMER, recommendations for undergraduate studies, as well as the Med Scholars Program at the University of Delaware, the MCAT exam, and journey from medical student to practicing physician. Just some terms that we want to make sure everyone understands as we move forward this evening. DIMER is the Delaware Institute of Medical Education and Research. You'll hear us refer to SLRP, that is a student loan repayment program we'll talk about a little bit later this evening. The HCP LRP is a healthcare professional loan repayment program that we'll also touch on. You'll hear us refer to HPSAs, and those are health professional shortage areas. And Dr. Richter will be talking a little bit about post-bac, which is a program that allows students to complete outstanding academic requirements, typically your science requirements, for admission to medical school post your undergraduate graduation. As the majority of our attendees this evening are in high school, one question that we do get, and we like to start the evening off with, what are some opportunities that you can now in high school start to get involved with to acquaint yourself and familiarize yourself with medical professions and gain and gather exposure? So I just want to say that those that we're sharing on the screen are not all inclusive, but it does represent a fine sampling of those opportunities that are available to you. And our partners at BB may be able to provide some more information for you when we hear from them this evening about their opportunities for students as well. So there are Healthcare Voyagers programs, there are volunteer programs for students. There are, the University of Delaware offers a health sciences summer camp, which is a phenomenal opportunity. I believe it's the context of it is changing this year and they're partnering with another program, but nonetheless, a wonderful opportunity to spend some time over summer on UD's campus and garner exposure to the variety of opportunities within health sciences and the future there. The Department of Education offers the HOSA program, If you're in a low-tech or charter school with health sciences curriculum, HOSA may be embedded in your schools already. For other schools, HOSA offers club-like programs. Apollo Youth and Medicine is also a program that's student-led. And then one of our members and partners, the Delaware Academy of Medicine, offers MiniMed, which is offered across the state as well as virtually. And it provides weekly presentations and discussions around different areas within healthcare and different job opportunities that span not only direct clinical space, but also supportive areas as well. So again, lots of opportunities. These are just a few, but we want to make sure that you understand that there are opportunities out there for you to get involved, and it's never too early. The Delaware Academy of Medicine, you can find their information at delamed.org, also offers a student internship program, and that's for both high school and undergraduate students. I mentioned earlier that we'd be speaking this evening about DIMER, the Delaware Institute of Medical Education and Research, and it's my distinct honor and pleasure at this time to welcome DHSA's President and CEO, Dr. Omar Khan, who is here with us this evening to speak more on DIMER. Dr. Khan, over to you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Pam, can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Very good. Well, thank you everyone for attending, especially thank you to the families and the students who made the time to attend this evening, and to our colleagues from across Delaware Health Sciences Alliance, the leaders, the medical students, everyone who's made the time. Thank you so much. And of course, to our incomparable host, Pam Gardner, for putting this evening together. So DIMER is essentially Delaware's alternative to a traditional medical school. Delaware is one of 4 states in the country, as some of you may know, which doesn't have its own within borders 4-year medical school. And I say that because we actually have a medical school equivalent. We actually have a 2-year branch campus of medical school, both of the Sidney Kimmel Medical College and of the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine, which is based at Christiana Care. And we have the DIMER program. The DIMER is a state-funded program, which is now over 50 years old. And through this program, we have an agreement with 2 medical schools in Philadelphia, PCOM and SKMC at Thomas Jefferson, through which we admit qualified Delawareans to those medical schools. And 30 seats are reserved for those DIMER students. But in the last few years that we have been partnering with DIMER and the Alliance, we have actually had more Delawareans get into medical school than just those 30. So eligibility for DIMER is listed on our website as well. All you have to do is search for DIMER and Delaware. And eligible applicants should be legal residents of Delaware. They meet the same requirements for residency as are followed by the University of Delaware and the Delaware State University. Basically, for the students in the audience, the high school students in the audience, if you're considered a Delaware resident by the colleges, you're considered a Delaware resident by DIMER. That means typically that your family is here, you're dependent of somebody who is filing taxes in Delaware, you have a Delaware address. So pretty simple, but the eligibility criteria are listed on our website as well. So once you apply to medical school, you're identified as a Delaware resident and as a Delaware applicant. This is an example of what that secondary application looks like. In addition to the standard medical school application, in this case from Jefferson, you get the DIMER program supplementary application. Pretty straightforward, pretty short. And then once you get that application, you are provided an additional interview with a committee member from Delaware. And whether it's a Sidney Kimmel process or the PCOM process, it's essentially identical. The admission requirements are the same for both medical schools regarding eligibility, regarding Delaware residency, and then the interview process is very similar as well. The specific requirements around GPAs and MCATs may be slightly different, but they're quite similar. They're quite the same in the ballpark. So The Dimer Advantage is really interesting. So for those of you who know the numbers for application, and the medical school students in the audience can speak more to this as well, applying to medical school is one of the most competitive processes anywhere. So typically for medical school, we get about 10,000 or so applicants for just 280 seats at Thomas Jefferson, and about the same number of seats at PCOM. So those are the big numbers, looking at the nationwide number of applicants. That's the pool you would be in if you were not a Delawarean. But then if you're a Delaware applicant, the picture starts to look a little bit different. So typically we get about 100 to between 95 and 105 applicants a year from Delaware. And as I mentioned earlier, you have 30 seats at Sidney Kimmel and PCOM. But as I also mentioned, these schools go above and beyond, and typically they will take between 40 and 45 Delawareans a year. So really what you're looking at is 40 to 45 Delawareans being admitted out of a pool of about 100. That actually is the best odds for getting into medical school of any state in the entire country. So we may not have our own within borders 4-year medical school, but between the Dimer Admissions Advantage and the 2-year branch campus, where you can come back to do your second 2 years of medical education, we essentially have a medical school equivalent, and some of my other colleagues will speak more about that as well. So in addition to this admissions advantage, there's several other advantages as well. So once you get into medical school, we provide opportunities for you to connect with us throughout the 4 years of medical school. We get you connected with our healthcare leaders. We invite you to our conferences, which are held in Delaware. We get you in touch with alumni physicians from Dimer. Remember, for the last 50 years, we've been doing Dimer. So about 22% of those folks have actually settled in Delaware to practice. So you have lots of great Dimer physicians to be able to connect with here. And we also provide you contacts with residency leadership. So then when you're applying for residency, which happens after medical school, where you do a specialized training in a certain specialty, you're very well set up to be successful in whatever area that you want to specialize in. And through this connection with our alliance, the Delaware Health Sciences Alliance, which really brings together all the educational institutions in Delaware and the major healthcare systems, you have so many other advantages to be able to connect across the DHSA leadership, and most importantly, with the communities that you're from and will serve as well. And I know that finances usually are a big question as well, and I'm going to turn it back to Pam Gardner to address some of our financial aid opportunities. Thank you, Pam.
Thank you, Dr. Khan. Before I go into financial aid, we do have a question in the chat, and I'm going to see if maybe you could speak to it, because I know we did a lot of work around the eligibility, and I'm not sure that I have seen this question come up before. If someone is not a U.S. citizen or green card holder, but a resident of Delaware, would they still qualify as a Dimer applicant?
Sure, that's a good question, Pam. So the Dimer criteria don't actually specify citizenship. They specify residency. So residency, as dictated by where one is paying taxes, that is the main criterion. So we don't actually get into issues around citizenship directly. Of course, to be a legal resident, to be allowed to study here, that is an important criterion. So if they're not a citizen or a green card holder, they would be essentially in a variety of different statuses. I'm not an immigration expert, but there are a variety of different statuses which perhaps my UD colleagues can speak to. One could be in a visit visa status. One could be a student visa status. One could be in a refugee status. One could be a DACA applicant. So our aim is to make sure, so if you're on a work visa, then you will need to, of course, apply for typically an F1 type of visa to be able to even go to university or to college. And so the same kind of student visa application would apply. If that visa status allows the person to meet the residency criteria, then I think we would certainly look at that. But that visa process would have to make sure that you're filing taxes here, you have permanent residency here in some other fashion, you have a driver's license, things of that sort. So for that specific question about this specific situation, we can address that offline. If you want to send a note to Ms. Gardner, we can get back to you with more on that, especially if the time comes for you to apply to medical school. Of course, even before then, you want to make sure that you will be going to college and so forth. So thank you for the question. And Pam, I'll turn it back to you for financial aid.
Thank you, Dr. Khan. I will put my email in the chat in just a few moments. That way you have my contact information as well. As Dr. Khan mentioned, financial aid is always a topic of interest as we present and one of concern, as the cost of medical school can be high. But we want to assure you that there are a plethora of resources available to you and also opportunities, whether it be for scholarship, grants, or loan repayment programs. We're going to touch on just a few resources that may be helpful to you. And I think later in the program, our current medical students, as well as our now attending physicians, may be able to offer more personal experience in their own journeys here with loan repayment programs and or grants that were successful for them. For those students who are attending or will attend Thomas Jefferson, they have a financial aid resource page on their website that provides information about their own internal opportunities, as well as links to other external programs, including work study programs and federal and private loan programs. Similarly, PCOM, the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine, also provides a page for financial aid resources, as well as links to internal and external opportunities for you there. The Association of American Medical Colleges, also referred to as the AAMC, provides a in-depth resource for financial aid, the cost of applying to medical school, different, again, debt costs and loan repayment programs, service loan forgiveness opportunities. It's really, you can go down a rabbit hole of resources here. So again, another great resource to start familiarizing yourself with if this is something of interest to you. I also do want to call out that the state of Delaware has two loan repayment programs for those in medical professions, primarily physicians as well as advanced practice providers. The first is the Student Loan Repayment Program, also known as SLRP. This is a partnership between the state of Delaware and the federal government. It's actually a federal repayment program that is administered through and by the state. It's up to $200,000 over 4 years, so $50,000 a year, provided that once you graduate, you secure employment and provide care in those federally qualified HPSA areas. Again, those are the health professional shortage areas. The other program that came online and launched, I believe we're in our second year now, is the Healthcare Professional Loan Repayment Program, the HCP-LRP. This is a solely state funded and administered program. The opportunity here similarly is up to $200,000 over 4 years, depending on the level of excuse me, clinical training that you have. For those DIMER students, the applications, you do receive an extra point for being a DIMER applicant. And in this program differs in this program recognizes the entire state as a health professional shortage area. However, again, the weighting of applications for those applicants that may be serving in a federally qualified area, the weight of that application may be a little higher than those serving outside, but more opportunity for loan repayment programs here. And for those working at one of the major health systems in the state, there's a partnership with the health systems and their contributions as well. So lots of wonderful opportunities. Again, our partner, the Delaware Academy of Medicine, delamed.org, also offers student financial aid programs as well as loan programs as well. And you can find more information on their website as well. We will pause there just to see if there are any questions at this time about the information that we've spoken about to date or to up until this point. I'm looking in the chat. It looks like there's maybe a specific question, so I can come back to that in a moment. It seems to be specific to a personal to the person asking, so we can yes. My apologies if I'm saying your name incorrectly. Is it Kenneth or Kene Perez? I see you have your hand raised. You're welcome to come off mute.
Yes, hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me here as well. So a question I had, since right now I am a senior this year, this health program called Dimer, when does it really apply for me? When I'm going into college or like my last year in college?
So Dimer, you become a Dimer applicant when you apply to medical school. So when you apply to either Sidney Kimmel Medical College or Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine, those are the two Dimer Medical Education Institution partners. You become a Dimer applicant at that point. However, currently now as a high school senior and going into undergraduate, we still would consider you Dimer, right? You're from Delaware and you're interested in the future in medicine. I see Dr. Khan came on. I'm going to hand the mic over to him. I imagine he has more to add.
Yeah, thank you, Pam. I think, Pam, you mentioned exactly what I was going to say. Kenneth, thank you for your question. So absolutely, as Ms. Gardner said, you'd be a Dimer applicant at the time of application to medical school. But even when you're applying for your medical college admission test, your MCAT, you may be eligible for some special considerations as a Dimer applicant around cost offset. So when you're in college, typically around your third year, that's really when you want to talk to us about what it means to be a Dimer applicant. And then, of course, when you fill out your application, just the fact that you have a Delaware address, you will get classified as a Dimer applicant, and then you'll be sent the secondary application. But your pre-med advisors at UD or Del State or wherever you go to school in Delaware, they will know more about this. Now, if you go to school outside of Delaware, if you go to college outside of Delaware, you remain a Dimer applicant, because as long as you maintain your Delaware residency and the other Dimer criteria, you can go to college anywhere you want in the country. We encourage you to stay in Delaware, but you can go wherever you want. And then you should yourself remain in touch with us so we can guide you, because the advisors at that university outside of Delaware will obviously not really know very much about Dimer. But as always, any questions, let us know after this chat, and we'll be happy to get you more information. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I see the question now. I'm sorry, I'm having a chance to read the question in the chat, and I believe that our next presenter is going to touch on several of the sub questions that were submitted. And I just want to call out that they identify as a career changer and non-traditional applicant. And I think what we'll find tonight, whether our panel fully represents it or not, is while there are traditional paths to medicine, there are other ways to get there also. And one does not mean that one is better or right or the other is wrong. And so I think all of your questions will be answered with our next presenter. If not, please feel free to raise your hand and or submit any pieces that you feel weren't addressed and need more information on. At this time, I'm pleased to welcome Dr. Saskia Richter of the University of Delaware with us this evening. Dr. Richter, over to you.
Thank you so much. And yes, I saw that question in the chat, so I will definitely address that in regards to the postbac program we have here at UD. So as was mentioned, my name is Dr. Saskia Richter. I'm here representing the Center for Health Professions Studies at the University of Delaware. I'm actually currently the interim director for our center because our longtime director, Dr. Dave Barlow, retired this past summer, and we're in the current timeline of trying to fill that position. So I'll do my best to answer some of those questions outside of my normal program, which is the Medical Scholars Program that I've been overseeing since 2021. So this is just our mission as a Center for Health Professions Studies here on campus. So really, we are here for students interested in pursuing careers in health, and that's not necessarily just to become a doctor. It is helping students interested in physical therapy, athletic training, nursing. Any of our health professions can come and utilize us here at the center. So our team, again, my name is Dr. Richter. I am the director for the Medical Scholars Program and interim director for our center as a whole. We do also work with Dr. Nowen from the biology department, who oversees one of our programs. We have a full-time coordinator staff member, and we have a specialized health professions advisor who's available for all of our students. So we are a small team, but we do a lot here for our students on campus. So this is just kind of an overview of some of the programs and offerings that we have through the center available to any student on campus. So I'm going to go through these in order. You'll notice that I actually don't have our post-bac program listed here because it is currently on pause. Dr. Barlow, our previous director, oversaw that program. And so with his retirement, we haven't been able to find a new director for that program. We are, again, in the process of hiring for that role. So hopefully in the near future, that program will be back. But to answer that question in the chat about the post-bac, are there other options available? Yes, you can essentially build your own type of post-bac here at UD, taking the classes that you need. It won't have that same structured certificate that it would have in the post-bac that we used to offer, but you can still enroll as a student here at UD, take all the classes that you need, and utilize our center to help make sure that you're staying on track, help you with your medical school application process. All right, so the programs that we do have that are currently up and running. So first up is our Living Learning Community, or LLC. This one's really exciting. This is for freshmen coming into the University of Delaware who are planning to live on campus. You can actually apply to be in our on-campus community. It's a Living Learning Community for any pre-health student. So I would say about 50% of our students are pre-med, but we have a wide variety of other students. We actually have a pre-vet student in our community as well. Essentially, we have an entire floor at a dorm up on North Campus, and then we provide specialized programming for those students, both social events and academic-based events. We do also offer a UNIV 101 section. For those of you who are getting ready to apply to the University of Delaware, you may have heard of these before. Essentially, all students are required to take a first-year experience class. You can take one dedicated to being a pre-health major and learn what your next 4 years are going to look like. This was first started this past fall. It was a huge success, but it's not a requirement, right? It's just if you want to explore health professions, it's a really good way to take your first year experience course and learn about everything we have here at UD, but it's not a requirement. A lot of our students come in as honors students, and so they don't take our UNIV, they take an honors one instead. So our LLC, again, it's a community usually between 20 and 30 students, a lot of great resources available, and our graduate assistant always oversees that. And then again, you get all the resources from the center. So if you're interested in the Living Learning Community, when you fill out your application for UD and you're starting to figure out housing, there is a box to check saying you're interested in the pre-health professions Living Learning Community. So we also offer health profession advising to any student on campus, as well as alumni within their first 3 years after graduation. We offer scheduled appointments, drop-in appointments. These can be in person or virtual. We actually have 2 locations on campus as well, one on main campus and one down at Star Campus, or the Health Science Complex. So these appointments can be everything from you have no idea what you're interested, you just know you like health, so you can come and sit down with one of our advisors and just chat about all the different careers in healthcare, or you're a junior getting ready to study for your MCAT and you want to know what resources are available at the state level, what resources are available here at UD, or maybe even in your department to help you be successful on that exam. All right, what I'm most excited to talk to you guys about is the program that I oversee, the Medical Scholars Program. This is actually a 4+4 early conditional acceptance program that we have 3 partner medical schools with. So this is separate from Dimer, but we do have a lot of Delaware residents who go through the Med Scholars Program. So we work with the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine in Philly, Rowan Virtua over in New Jersey, and then Sidney Kimmel Medical College at Thomas Jefferson. And we take approximately 20 students each year into this program. It is a dual degree program, so it is a 4-year specialized bachelor's of liberal studies. And so what this degree is, it actually gets you all of the prereqs you need for medical school. So your chemistries, your biologies, your physics, but it also gives you a well-rounded education in the humanities related to how are you going to give back to your community when you become a physician? How do you understand the human side of medicine? And so once you're in this program, you choose from specialization tracks, everything from nutrition to bioethics to understanding the One Health principles. And then we also have practica courses built in. So as part of that 4-year program, you will gain 200+ hours minimum of direct shadowing opportunities through that coursework. We also offer various programming throughout the year where we bring in a variety of speakers to come talk to our students so they can learn all about the ins and outs of applying to medical school, what it's like to be a medical student, and then what's life like after residency. Now, not everybody wants to do the Med Scholars program. Med Scholars program, right? You're really pipelining into one of those 3 partner medical schools that we have, but maybe you don't want to go to one of those schools. You want to go somewhere else. So you can utilize what we call the Health Professions Evaluation Committee. Most students will use this particular service that we have, either their junior or senior year with us. That being said, it is also open to alumni up to 5 years after graduation. So you can come back and take advantage of this as well. And this is not just for medicine. So this is for students also interested in dentistry, podiatry, or optometry. What this process does takes about 6 months. We help you develop your packet for application. It will go through our committee review. You'll actually get to do 2 interviews with our committee, one with a local clinician, one with a faculty member. And then as a committee, we can write a recommendation letter that goes into your application to medical school, dental school, podiatry, or optometry programs. So again, it's typically completed the spring semester before your application cycle. So let's say you wanted to go to med school right after undergrad, you would be doing this HPEC process during the spring of your junior year, because you would be applying to med school in that summer between junior and senior year. All right, another thing I love to tell everybody about is study abroad. So in case you didn't know, University of Delaware was the first institution in the US to offer study abroad. We're actually celebrating our 100th year of study abroad this academic year. And I have the opportunity to take 20 students abroad each January session. So the last 2 years, I've taken students to Italy. So here are some photos of my students. They were able to shadow in Italian hospitals in a variety of specialties. They're guaranteed a minimum of 75 hours of direct shadowing. However, most of them are closer to 100, 125 because the doctors are so excited to have them there and they invite them constantly to come back and see more procedures. You also get credit while you are on study abroad towards your degree. We do change our location each year. So we were in Italy the past 2 years in different cities though. And then this upcoming January, I'm actually taking 20 students to Athens. So this program is open to any student. It is a really competitive study abroad program. So usually we're seeing like juniors and seniors. However, I have taken underclassmen as well. All right, and then just kind of rounding this out here, the University of Delaware Center for Health Profession Studies, yes, we have programs in-house, but we also partner with a variety of institutions and just community partners throughout the tri-state area. So here's just a little overview graphic for you of everything that we kind of get involved with. All right, with that, are there any questions specific to some of the opportunities we have here at the University of Delaware? I know that was a lot of information very quickly. You can go on our website and see all of this as well.
While I see a hand. I was gonna say we have some pre-submitted questions, but let's go with our last question. Kenneth, back to you.
Hello. So a question I had since recently, just yesterday, I got accepted into UD.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I have been planning to actually go to UD next year. And I have been wondering how exactly would I want to apply for this medical scholars program.
Yeah, so the major is not one that you can choose as a freshman, right? So you would actually join our major as a sophomore because you have to have your general chemistry, so your intro chems and your intro bios completed. So you can choose any major you want on campus that you're excited and interested in, and then do really well in those core sciences your freshman year. Also reach out to our team as soon as you're on campus, and we can get you involved with what we call our interest group. So we have a bunch of events that we do throughout the fall and spring for freshman members to get you involved with our upperclassmen, learn more about the program, and then you would formally apply to our major the summer between your freshman and sophomore year.
So what if I'm already taking like advanced class right now? So right now I'm taking like Bio 120, dual enrollment chemistry, dual enrollment like physics. I'm already taking that. So what would those like core classes be transferred to UD?
That would depend on the transfer matrix. So you would have to reach out to the registrar's office at UD and see if the dual enrollment course that you're in will qualify at the same level as what we offer here. Unfortunately, I don't have the power to be able to tell you if that course will count or not.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Dr. Director, I think I have a follow-up to that. And I know we've talked previously on some of our other panels around those that are in AP classes in high school and whether they should go ahead and advance to the next class or if they should come in and retake that class. And I think if you could talk a little bit, and we can also address it as well, but the importance of the science GPA to the medical education application, the medical school application, and whether or not those high school AP classes count towards that GPA, right? And I think you just kind of touched on that, but also what the recommendation is for repeating classes and we're moving on to that next level class.
Yeah, so for any of our high school students on here, there's kind of two different options sometimes of these higher level classes where you can take an AP course and have AP credit, or you can do a dual enrollment course. AP credit can come into the University of Delaware and essentially say, oh yes, you already know your basics of chemistry, you can take an upper level chem. However, it does not give you a grade on your transcript, so it's not counted into your science GPA. Also, there are medical schools out there who will not accept AP credits towards your core sciences, right? Some of our partner schools do, but not all of them. So we strongly recommend, even if you did really well in your APs, you got a 4 on your AP exam, that you still take those basic sciences at the college level so that you're building a really strong foundation so that when you get into the upper courses, such as organic chemistry, biochemistry, genetics, right? You've had a refresher on your bios and your chems and your physics so that you're not struggling to keep up with that higher coursework. And again, you need it to count towards your science GPA. You need to have X number of credits in all of those prereqs to be considered a strong applicant for medical schools. So we do recommend not using your AP credits towards your science prereqs. However, if you have dual enrollment, so you've actually taken the course at a college level and it's coming in with a letter grade, that's a little bit different conversation. But again, it has to go through our registrar's office and be transferred in at the exact same level. Again, as a freshman, you have so many other things you're trying to figure out about just living alone for your first time and figuring out how to navigate campus. Sometimes it can be really difficult to also then be in upper level science classes already. So taking those basic chemistries, basic bios, again, really, really beneficial. Plus, you're going to need to know all that for the MCAT, so the refresher is helpful. Hopefully that answered your question, Pam.
Absolutely. Thank you. That was such valuable information to share and for our audience to hear. And it's like you read my mind because the next question is around MCAT preparation. And I know that UD offers some programs and or has some clubs that maybe offer some discount. And I can speak to some of our partner opportunities as well. But could we start with you and what UD offers and recommendations from your center around MCAT preparation and programs to support that work?
Yeah, so my advice for the MCAT is take it once and be ready when you take it, right? You don't want to schedule it and then never study and just take it just to take it and see what happens. It is a high stakes exam. It also costs money every time you have to take it. So make sure you're prepared when you do. Typically, you're going to want to take that in late spring or early summer of your application cycle. So again, if you're planning to go to med school right after undergrad, you're wanting to take that MCAT spring of junior year, which is going to come up really, really quick. As far as resources that we have available on campus, if you're part of the Medical Scholars Program, we have some really structured MCAT review and resources available through that program. Through the Center for Health Profession Studies, we also have some MCAT stuff available, specifically when it comes to prep materials. Sometimes our center also has the ability to offer scholarships for people to waive some of the fees related to MCAT materials or course registrations for that. And then we have several student organizations on campus that are related to becoming a doctor, and they have partnerships with third-party groups as well to get discounts on some of that prep material for the MCAT. You're going to want to at least think 6 to maybe up to 12 months ahead of time, you're starting to study for that MCAT already. You really want to take that exam seriously.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I'll just add that DHSA, through our membership network, we have several partners that do offer, similar to what Dr. Richter just described at UD, programs that offer discounted tuition, access to materials, mentors. I know that Dell State offers a MCAT prep program scholarship for their students as well. Our partner through the Harrington Trust and DHSA offers a fully covered tuition supported MCAT prep program and mentorship program for those that are accepted in. That program is prioritized for students from Delaware, those who have a demonstrated financial need, those who are underrepresented in medicine, and we're also first generation medical school and or college. And so I just want to call attention to that there are lots of programs out there, and the support that is there and the encouragement that's there to take advantage of these prep programs. You mentioned taking the MCAT once. And I think there's several reasons for that, dissimilar to an SAT where you can take your best scores and kind of add them together every time you take the MCAT. The medical education institutions that you're applying to will see each of your scores. You don't get to kind of take the best from all of your tests and add them together. I know that we have success stories for those who have taken the test more than once. And so there's always exceptions to the rules, but going into the MCAT, putting your best foot forth and doing as much prep as you can going in is the strong recommendation across the board. Am I hearing that correctly?
Yes.
Wonderful. Excellent. Thank you so much. Are there any other questions at this time for Dr. Richter and the opportunities available to students at UD? All right. Dr. Richter will be on with us, so if questions arise, we can answer them as the evening continues. Thank you so much for all of the for the wealth of information and knowledge that you share. Every time I hear you speak, it makes me want to come back to UD.
Yes, and I'll throw my email in the chat.
Cool. Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Before we move on from MCATs, I do just want to call attention to the MCAT exam itself. There is a fee for the exam, as Dr. Richter mentioned, and DHSA recognizes that for students with financial need, that the exam fee itself could pose a barrier and challenge as well. And so while we have wonderful partners and members who are providing the MCAT prep programs and providing access to the MCAT prep programs, we recognize that the next step and the MCAT exam itself could present a challenge. And so DHSA is pleased to provide an MCAT scholarship for the exam fee itself. We do request that applicants successfully complete one of our partner programs. So one of our partners, one of our member programs, in advance of applying for the MCAT exam scholarship. And it's a reimbursement scholarship. So we do ask that you pay for it up front, but then we reimburse you once the date and registration is submitted. If there's any questions about any of these programs that we've offered tonight, please feel free. Dr. Richter's email is in the chat, and I've entered mine as well, pgardner@dhsa.org. This information and links to this information are also available on DHSA's website as well. At this time, I don't see any additional questions. I know that we have some of our medical students on. I know we have Elizabeth on. I'm wondering, Elizabeth, if you could come on and just share from your perspective what it was like to apply to medical school and any advice perhaps that you have to share from preparing for the MCAT as well in your own perspective and experience.
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, great. So I am one of those success stories where I did take the MCAT twice and still was able to get in. I don't recommend going that route because it does pose some challenges, but just so you know, like if you need to, if it happens, there is still a way to get in. It happened for me, so it could happen for you too. So I prepared the first time by studying over the winter break. So I went to the University of Delaware, and the schedule that UD offers is for like the way that the classes work and the really, really long winter break that UD has is the perfect time to study for the MCAT. So that's what I did. And I think it's like 8 weeks long, and that's the time that I believe like most of my friends used to study as well. We used Kaplan. I was part of the pre-med fraternity at UD that offered a discount for students. So that was really nice. Just another resource if you do end up at UD, there are like on-campus organizations that can help connect you with outside resources. Yeah, so just studied really, really long and hard days. But I think that's something that I wish that I was better prepared for, is like the test anxiety that you feel when you go in and you take, that really important in-person exam, especially after coming out of online exams due to COVID for a bit of time. So if you can practice taking an exam, like really in a setting that might be the most similar to test day, I would recommend doing that. So like don't take it on the desk that you always study at. Like try to see if you can go to a library or a campus room and take take your practice test really, really seriously. So that you are seeing your practice scores be as similar as possible to the score that you're going to receive on the MCAT. So that's my tip. And then applying for med school is a really, really lengthy process. So first you're going to submit your primary application, which goes out to so many schools, and then your secondary applications. It's kind of a like a how quickly can you turn those in sort of thing. So if you know what schools you want to go to, if you're able to prepare your secondary applications ahead of time, that would be super beneficial. Like, so for me, I knew that I love Delaware, I'm from Delaware, and getting into Jefferson or PCOM was on the highest of my list. So just making sure that I responded to those secondary applications as quickly as possible was important for me. And I think what helped me get in here. So that's all I have.
Excellent. That's wonderful advice and wonderful feedback. And thank you for joining us tonight to share your personal experience as a current medical student and future physician and Dimer student and a future Dimer alum. So thank you so much. And I love the advice that you gave about taking your practice tests in an environment that would be similar to where you're actually going to take the test and not in the environment that is of most comfort to you, right? That is, I don't think we've heard that advice in previous panels, and I think that it really provides a lot of introspection. So thank you so much for that feedback. Elizabeth will be with us, so if there are any questions further, please feel free to put them in the chat or raise your hand. Elizabeth mentioned a little bit about the application process, and I think now is a great time for us to just kind of look at what the journey from high school student to attending physician looks like. And then it's a great segue into some panelists, friends, and colleagues that are here with us to share more as to what BB is doing in this space. Very exciting and new programs that are taking place at BB and providing opportunities in Sussex County, not only for those in Sussex, but across the state. So for those of you that are in high school, we've talked about opportunities, ways that you can get involved and have exposure earlier this evening through some of those volunteer and shadowing and internship programs. Dr. Richter, we heard from the University of Delaware for undergraduate recommendations, the importance of the science classes, not only your overall GPA, but also that science GPA, as medical schools will look at that separately as well. The medical school application and acceptance, Elizabeth spoke a little bit to that. She's currently in her medical school years, so years 1 through 4. The first 2 years are primarily in the class, in the labs, on campus, in the books. And then you go out for clinical rotations and elective rotations, which we'll hear about in a few moments. And then you graduate medical school. And does that mean that you can go out and practice medicine on your own? And or does that require more training and oversight, which we will hear more about residency interviews and match and training and what that looks like based on your specialty, and then becoming a attending physician. We have several partners with us this evening that can speak to their journeys as well and are more than happy to answer questions that you may have. It's now my honor to introduce Tanya Ray, the DIO and Administrative Director for, I think, all things education at BB. I should probably update this, my apologies, as well as Dr. Joyce Robert, who is the Founding Director for the Family Medicine Residency Program at BB. And I believe they brought some rotating students and residents as well. So super excited to have you with us this evening, and excited to hear about all that BB is offering from a medical education training perspective for medical students as well as residents, and then opportunities for attending physicians as well. So thank you for taking time to join us this evening.
Good evening. Hi, Pam. Thank you so much for the introduction. So good evening, everybody. My name is Tanya Ray. I'm the Administrative Director and ACGME Designated Institutional Official here at BB Healthcare. So I oversee the R. Randall Rollins Center for Medical Education, which oversees our UME programs, which is our undergraduate medical education programs. We are a core clinical campus for the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine, and we have one of our CCC students with us tonight, Dorothy Vosick, who's also a Dimer alum or a current Dimer member. And then I also oversee our GME programs, which is Dr. Robert and the great work that she's doing with our Family Med program. And she has with us Dr. Jacob Valvis, who's one of our first-year family medicine residents and is also a Dimer alum. And then I also oversee our continuing medical education programs, which is once you become an attending, the learning doesn't stop. Unfortunately, it gets a little less intense than it does in medical school and residency. But as medicine continues to evolve, we provide some additional education for our attending physicians. So I will turn it over to Dr. Robert and Dr. Valvis.
Hey, good evening.
Oh, you can go first. I don't know what I want to say. Oh, yeah. So, hey, I'm Dr. Valvis, one of the, like Tanya was saying, one of the PGY ones for the first year. I'm medicine residents here. As she said, I am a Dimer graduate, born and raised pretty much here in Delaware. So, went to PCOM. I know we're talking about all those kind of the MCAT and all those scores. I went through a route where I did take it twice and then ended up going to PCOM the second time. And they did make it a really honed in about the Dimer aspect, and it has really been a big help. You know, I met Dr. Khan at some of the Dimer dinners at the Hilton by PCOM. And through that, I was able to meet some more as like a student to get some rotations as well, just through that. Otherwise, it would have been a lot tougher. So even before you get into like med school, though, you can still use it to get kind of shadowing experiences, a lot of stuff like that we would say throughout the night. So I've definitely used it despite not knowing anything about it when it first started. So I definitely recommend those who don't know much about it to take advantage of it. It really does make a difference, even though you might not think much of it now. Later on, looking back, I wish I did use more of it. So use it. And Dr. Robert's here to talk some more.
Hey, good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Joyce Robert. I'm the founding program director. Sorry, it's late. I'm the founding program director for the Family Medicine Residency. Super excited to be here. Like Tanya said, we recruited our first class of residents, so we're able to recruit a Dimer student. And we have 2 other students from the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine. So we're about 75% DO, which we're really happy about that. And we're recruiting our second class. So Any of the fourth year medical school, I know Dorothy is pretty much, we've adopted her. But we're also, looking for any other students, third or fourth years who are interested in applying to family medicine, want to stay in Delaware, wanted to really go into a community-based family medicine program. That's where we are at BB. So, and thanks Dr. Khan and Pam. It's good to see you guys again, even virtually.
And likewise, thank you very much.
Dorothy, do you want to introduce yourself and tell her a little bit about your journey through Dimer and PCOM?
Yeah, so my name's Dorothy. I am a fourth year student at the PCOM Philadelphia campus. So I am not an original Delawarean. My parents decided to retire down here in Delaware around 2017, and I was accepted to PCOM in 2020, right during COVID. So Dimer has helped me. I think they do also give like a small scholarship for students. I've also, because of COVID, there wasn't as much networking, but I do know in my second year, they had a very nice dinner for us. And then part of your third and fourth year is looking for rotations. So I was also able to really connect during the dinner with some of the administrators to help organize those rotations. Also, speaking of the MCAT, I did take the MCAT once. I did pretty well, but I will say it is challenging. It was one of the reasons why I took a gap year, because I had been taking practice tests. I had not been doing as well as I wanted to on them. So I extended my studying for an extra couple months and really tried to nail it, the MCAT. Right now, I am applying for residency. I'm looking for family medicine. I would ideally like to stay down here. My mom's down here. It's been really nice that BB has opened for a core clinical campus through PCOM. As a third year student, I was able to stay home and be with my parents. So you don't have to go far, especially if you're in Sussex here, or even in the other counties, because you do still have Bay Health in Dover, and you have Christiana in Newcastle. So there's a lot of options.
Perfect. Thanks, Dorothy. So Dr. Khan and or Pam, I don't know if we have some questions that there's to ask the panelists or how you want to proceed with the evening.
I just wanted to mention real quick, Tanya, thank you so much for your presentation, and Dorothy for sharing your story as well. And Dorothy, and for everyone here, hopefully they know that we have lots of great residencies, which is of course after medical school in Delaware. And the most popular specialty of residency in Delaware happens to be family medicine, what Dorothy just mentioned. We have 4 family medicine residencies program in Delaware: St. Francis, Christiana Care, both of which are Newcastle, BB Healthcare, and Bay Health, which Dorothy, you mentioned. So wonderful that you're down there right now. And it's been wonderful to see so many program directors come together to support our students in support of primary care in their state. So Pam, over to you.
Great, thank you. Tanya, I'm wondering if maybe you and Dorothy could speak a little bit about what core clinical rotations look like during third year, and what a fourth year rotations look like, to help our audience understand those third and fourth year and the clinical time that students are exposed to. And then I have a residency question that was submitted as well, so we can go maybe to Drs. Robert and Valvis after.
Sure. So the core clinical campus, so your first 2 years of medical school are all didactics, all in-classroom learning, all didactics. And then in your third year, you get to do your hands-on medicine and clinicals, and you rotate through all the different specialties. So BB's core clinical campus is basically the third year campus for PCOM students. So we get up to 10 students from PCOM, and they'll spend their entire third year rotating through all the different specialties. So family medicine, internal medicine, cardio, gen surg, psychiatry, peds, OB-GYN, OMM, radiology, and then there's a couple electives in there as well. And then once you get to fourth year, and I'll let Dorothy speak more of fourth year because it's a little different now than when I worked at PCOM, but it's a lot of electives. So it gives you a lot of elective time so that, the goal is by mid third year, you know what you want to do after rotating through some of these specialties, so that you're then applying for residency once you get to fourth year, so you know what specialty you want to apply to. Dorothy, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about fourth year. I know there's some what they call sub-Is during fourth year, which is sub-internship, and what that means.
Yeah, so in your fourth year, I think it's a little more fun. You kind of get to do what you want to do. As I'm interested in family medicine, we kind of need to know a little bit about a lot of things. So right now I get to jump to a lot of different specialties. I just finished up rheumatology. I think I'm going to endocrinology. I did GI. So that's really exciting. A big thing about fourth year is your sub-Is or your audition rotations, where you can go to different institutions and it's basically like a month-long interview. It's usually where you would like to go for residency. And it's kind of showing your face, showing what your personality is like, how it would be to work with you, your knowledge base. It is stressful. I think that's one of the most stressful parts of your fourth year is making sure you are making a good impression during your audition rotations. But it's also really exciting. It's also a time for you to also interview programs, because this is where you might be spending the next 3 years. And you want to make sure it's somewhere that you feel comfortable, that you get along well with the faculty, and that the residents are supportive and people that you hopefully want to hang out with, and you might be spending 24 hours with on call.
Excellent. Thank you so much for providing that insight for our audience here, and understanding what the clinical rotations and time with patients and time with the staff and the faculty look like too, and how that's supportive of your education and journey. I think you touched on a sense of, is there a community where you are, and is that where you want to stay, and what's important to you and your own support network, right? So thank you so much for sharing that insight. Dr. Robert, I'd like to turn it over to you and Dr. Relvis as well regarding residency and what training looks like. How long is training after you graduate from medical school? And could you maybe highlight, I know it's an in-depth process, but maybe highlight for those that are here what the match process looks like.
Okay, no, good question. I think I'll be able to answer that. Yeah. So
can I just pick BB and come to BB for residence?
Exactly. Let's just cut to the chase. Yeah. So yeah, residency, like Pamela mentioned, for family medicine, depending on your specialty, can range from 3 to 5 to 7 years, depending on what you want to do. But with family medicine, is a 3-year residency program, so it's right after medical school. And in family medicine, we learn all different, we learn pediatrics, geriatrics, OB, GYN, so pretty much full spectrum, what we like to say, all ages and stages. So in terms of the match, it's really applicant driven. So with the match, you usually apply for the match. Well, you apply for your match your 4th year during your 4th year. Like Dorothy mentioned, you can audition at different residency programs that you may have a keen interest in knowing more about the program, really looking at the culture, the curriculum, the didactics, how the residents interact with each other. And then you sort of you apply through like the electronic residency application system, ERAS, and you can apply to as many programs as you want. Usually family medicine is about 10 to 15. We recommend. It depends.
That's a good choice. Yeah.
Plus or minus. And then during interview season, which usually ERAS opens up, like the application system opens up September. And then that's where you apply to the different programs. You know, you put your CV, your letters of recommendations, your personal statement, and then you apply to programs, and programs get back to you for an interview. So depending on the program, some programs do completely virtual where they utilize Zoom or Microsoft Teams. Some programs do hybrid where they utilize virtual and they have an opportunity for you to come in on site. And some programs do in person only. So there's like a combination of hybrid, in person, and completely virtual. So you apply to as many programs as you see fit, and then you wait until the programs get back to you. You schedule an interview, whether in person or virtual. You meet with them, and this goes on between sometime in October, even all the way up until February. Usually interviews end around January, but it can even extend until February. And I believe late February, early March, you put the rank system. So you rank your programs from most favorable to least favorable. And then the programs also rank you from most favorable to least favorable. Then there's this computer algorithm that sort of matches the program with the applicant. And match day is usually, I believe, like the third Friday of the month in March, where there's a huge celebration, which you probably maybe heard of from previous years if you're at PCOM or Sydney Kimmel. And then there's a big celebration. And then you start residency that July after match. So I think that's an abbreviated version of match, but you know. So right now we're interviewing, we're at the tail end of interviewing. So I think this is our last week of interviewing here at BB. We'll put our rank list sometime in February. And then again with the match this year will be March 15.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for
You're
walking
welcome.
through that process, and congratulations. I know it's you just launched your first class last summer, and you had such a successful match. So we wish you much continued success in that. And I know BB will be expanding its residency programs and training opportunities as well. I don't know if you or maybe Tanya want to highlight the programs that will be coming on in the next couple of years to just provide awareness of the additional residency training opportunities that BB will offer in Sussex.
Tanya, you can take that one.
Thanks, Dr. Robert. Yeah, so we're looking at a couple of programs. It's still kind of in the development phase. So I don't want to put too much, that's concrete right now, but, we're definitely looking at our primary care, continuing to look at other primary care options because we know down here in Sussex County that's so needed. Possibly a psychiatry residency in the future. Our transitional year program, we will likely start July of 25. So a TY program is a 1-year medicine base that is required for specialties like neurology, ophtho, dermatology, anesthesia, those kind of programs. So we're working with a consultant team now on our board to develop that plan forward, and stay tuned for press releases and more information to come on that soon.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing. Lots of opportunities across the state, growing opportunities right there in Sussex. So thank you so much. I think what we heard is there's lots of opportunity. There's a desire to have our residents from Delaware not only come back and serve, but come back and train as well, right? And serve our communities. We also welcome those who maybe are not from Delaware, but come here from through various channels, but also through core clinical campus rotations sort as well. So those opportunities are not limited to those who are from Delaware, but they're open to any. And so thank you so much for highlighting all of those opportunities. We are about at the end of our presentation and planned discussion. So I do just want to say, if anyone has any last minute questions or any questions that haven't been addressed or asked yet, please feel free to drop them in the chat or raise your hand. Otherwise, it looks like we could be giving everyone back a few moments in time. We do have one question, and then Dr. Khan, I saw you come on, so we'll turn it over to you for some final thoughts as well. Kenneth, over to you for a question.
Yes, you guys have like a website in which you guys have more information about any of this?
Yes, so we do. So I will drop a link in the chat.
Thank you, Kenneth, for the question. Thank you, Tanya, for putting the link in the chat as well. And for anyone who wants more additional information, they can go to DHSA, which is Delaware Health Sciences Alliance.org. Ms. Gardner can also send out the link for the DIMER website, which is part of the state of Delaware's website, which has information about everything we spoke about today. I just wanted to, well, first, let's give an opportunity for any other questions that may come up, just for a few seconds. If somebody wants to put a question in the chat or to unmute yourself or speak up, please feel free. I want to thank everyone for taking the time to share their stories today. Dorothy and Elizabeth and Tanya and Dr. Robert and everyone who participated, thank you so much. We are so pleased to be offering this opportunity, and we're so lucky in Delaware that every county has family medicine residency programs. They have medical education, they have branch campuses of the medical schools, and so you really have such amazing opportunities here to network with your colleagues wherever you happen to be from. And we're keen to have the future workforce of Delaware look like Delaware. So we want all of you to consider a career in the health sciences, whether it's medicine or some other field. Of course, we're here to talk about medicine today, but many other fields, and please reach out to us if for any questions or thoughts around that. So thank you again very, very much. Thank you to Pam, our wonderful Master of Ceremonies for today, and we hope to see many of your applications going forward. So have a wonderful evening and happy holidays until next time.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Take care.
Thanks.